Okay, welcome to Athlete Things episode 2. As today we have Danny on. We're just going to talk about, the things that he's changed and Sam himself have changed, and I guess myself in what we've done in ourselves and our mindset to be able to get to the level that we're at now. In the way that we think about things, the way that we, small things that we do within, everyday life. Outside of like last week, what we spoke about in our last episode, and more so the changes that we've made to kind of get to where we are today.
Yeah, going more on like the mindset side of things probably today.
Yeah.
More than anything, and how that's kind of changed over the last few years.
Yeah, and I think like I've known you now for 12 months. I've coached, or a bit longer now. I coached Danny for a long time, and I know that even in the short time I've known you, you've changed a lot in the last 12 months. And Danny as well, like since I started with Danny, there's been a really big change from then till now as well. So I guess if you guys, Danny, if you want to, say hi, you can introduce yourself as well. And then also,
sure,
kicking things off if you want.
Yeah, sounds good. So, my name's Danny. I've been coached by Steve for pretty much a bit over a year now.
A bit over a year.
How long's it been?
Way long. I don't know. I think
2 years?
It's been nearly 2 or 3 years actually.
Wow, time's gone by quick. But when we first started, I didn't understand what it meant to give this sport everything. We come into this sport and majority of what we hear is this is a hobby sport. We don't see a lot of people dedicating it to, unlike more mainstream sports that we see in people that we follow. And so I guess I kind of took that on and didn't really treat it as serious as I thought I did up until I met you. And then I realized, we can push this to the limits if we want to. And I finally get to see how that manifests in your behavior, how you approach it in your day-to-day living. And so over the course of 2 years, like that's kind of what I've taken on as well. So making sure we optimize every single day, making sure, our lifestyle revolves around training. And that's not to say it wasn't like that before, but I took it to the next level and really made sure that it was something that I was conscious of pretty much day to day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's like, we've spoken about it before, and it's like being okay with being obsessive and like it taking up so much of your life as well.
Yeah, 100%. I remember, I think last year around holiday period, like around Christmas time, I had to fit training in, and it was a really stressful time just because of the expectation of family time to be together. But we know as athletes, we still need to train. We still need to get sessions in regardless of, the period of time around us.
Yeah.
And I think once you do start getting to a level where you do need to take it seriously and push it to the next level, other things need to step aside. Yeah. And that's just the way it is if you want to be really, really good at this sport.
And I think I remember at that holiday period too, when you were saying like, you like push things aside to get training in. I remember saying to you, like, man, like it is okay sometimes to be able to, enjoy life and skip things if you have to do it, like skip training if you have to do it. And I remember your response being like fucking something like, well, if I do that, then, that's an opportunity lost to get one up on someone who is doing that. And I remember then I was like, okay, yeah, like, fuck, this dude wants it just as bad as I do, like, because I could relate to that straight away. And like, I don't get very many people that say shit like that to me.
Yeah, I think about it, I'm like, when I came to you, I remember the first thing I ever said was, I just want you to be brutally honest, right? And that what I was expecting out of myself was, I want to be the best. And I think as a coach and athlete, you as yourself, you kind of expect the most out of yourself, but sometimes you might be afraid to expect the same out of others. But I think that gave me a chance to actually be like, okay, we're on the same page. Like I can push just as hard as you can push.
Yeah. As soon as someone kind of No, I've said it before. Like someone will have that conversation with me, and they'll say like, I want to be the best, or something like that. There's small things that I kind of wait for to see whether or not to what level or extent they actually mean that. Because a lot of people say it, but then nothing changes too much. It's like they don't start making those small sacrifices. They're still doing all these other little things throughout their life that it's like, I can't fit that in because I'm so like embedded in my training and so focused on training that it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think one thing for me that's changed, like when I first started, I didn't really see myself like competitive into like relatively, I wasn't that strong for my weight class and my size. So I was always kind of comparing myself to others that were stronger, that were at the top. And then I kind of just like gave into that and just didn't take it seriously because of that. So like, especially when I was younger, I would definitely, accept that I probably wasn't going to be that strong when I was very first starting. So I'd, if there was an opportunity for a night out or to skip a session or whatever it is, I'd probably fall into that a little bit easier. Whereas for now, it's much so like, yeah, it just comes down to taking it more seriously. So definitely like those sacrifices come into play a lot more on the day-to-day, week to week. And then, yeah, just making training more part of the lifestyle. Because I know my potential, my mentality is like, I want to take it more seriously because I know how far I can go with it. So that was like one big thing that I kind of fell into in like my first, 2-3 years, just like the comparison with others, like just constantly just like,
yeah, for sure,
focusing on what other people are doing and how strong other people were, and then just falling into that.
Yeah. I think also like people need to like realize, what works for someone may not work for someone else in terms of like being able to bring the best you forth and being able to showcase that on a more frequent basis. So Sam says like, he was comparing himself to other people and then it would make him, not perform probably worse or overthink it. Whereas I'm the fucking opposite. I love chasing people, like, and I'll just be like, let's fucking go. Like if this person's doing this and we're around the same strength, I'm gonna do more.
Yeah, 100%.
And just small things like that. Like I remember I went through a period like 2 or 3 years ago where I was chasing whatever Taylor Atwood was fucking squatting every session. I was like, he wouldn't even have a fucking clue who I am. But I was like, I'm doing this and I'm just going to keep going. And like, cause he was posting it every week and we was wood squatting on the same day because he's in the States, he was hitting it before me. So I was like, okay, cool. I get this every single week. I get to know what I'm putting on the bar just because he's posting it. We were both doing like 7s or 8s or something. And I just kept doing it.
Yeah. Do you recall how you used to be before you were more well known? So everyone knows you kind of as like, the competitive 74 these days. How about back in the day when you were first starting? Did you feel like that was something that you brought into the sport before you even began, or how did things go for yourself?
100%. I've always been like this. As soon as I started, I was like, fuck it. If I'm gonna do this, then I'm going all in. And I stopped everything. I cut partying out. Seeing people, hanging out with friends. Like, we talk about those sacrifices. I made heaps of that just straight off the bat. I was like, fuck it. Like this is starting now. Like I didn't realize it was going to evolve into what it is now, but I just kind of went straight for it. Like I've always been like that in a way where, whether it be career, whether it be training, whether it be something like if I'm focusing on that and I'm going all in on that, like I'm hyper focused as like, I just go straight for it. Won't stop, and I'll just be relentless as fucking everything I do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where probably I'm different. Danny, you might be the same. Whereas I feel like I've grown more into me taking it seriously and being just a bit more cutthroat with powerlifting in my training. Like I said before, like when I very first started, I would, take the easy route a little bit more often just because it was easier. And I kind of, just wasn't that serious with training. Whereas now, like, I feel like as I've gotten stronger and realized my potential, I've grown more into that more cutthroat, take it fucking serious
Yeah.
trainings and everything.
I see.
And it's because it's accepted. Like it's more accepted now. Like
Yeah.
it used to be, you know, it was treated as a hobby for so long for so many people. Like I've never fucking treated it as a hobby. It was never a hobby, man. Like I can tell you times where, like, you know, I got up for work when I was, you know, a butcher, you know, got up at 3 or 4 a.m., go to work 8 hours, have something that I was like, had to do straight after work. So I'd be there for another 3 or 4 hours. I wouldn't get to the gym till like, you know, 10 p.m. at night. You know, I'd train 3-hour session. I'd get out at 1 a.m. I'd get home. I'd have to eat, shower. I'd go straight to bed. I'd get back up at fucking 4 a.m. and go to work and then go and train the next afternoon. Like it was never a fucking hobby for me. And that's going back like 3 or 4 years. Like that was always just like, nah, this is in my schedule. I've got to fucking do it. Like I've always been like that. It's just my mindset. I can't really change that. Never, like I remember skipping a session once and then I ended up like just doubling up the next day so fucking hard. I was like, I felt worse.
Yeah.
I felt worse than I would have felt had I not sacrificed going to an event and like because I'd always, you know, if I did, like the times that I did, if I'd, you know, miss my training or, you know, cut it short or something and go to an event that was like kind of planned out rather than like just going a little bit later rather than getting all my training in, I'd go to that event in just like a shitty mood because I'd be like, I didn't get what I needed to get in. I didn't get this training in. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And now I've gone here and I'm in a shitty mood. Like, and I shouldn't even be here. This is a good event. This is like someone's birthday or like baby showers or, you know, like an engagement or something like that. And I'd be there in just a shitty mood because I didn't do what I said I was going to do in terms of like my training, and because that's how serious I take it.
I think the sacrifices.
This is going back before, like, this is when I'm talking like my total was like nearly 100 kilos less than what it is now. Like I was not in no conversation in terms of world-class athlete or anything like that, or like known as like the competitive 74 or whatever. That was just me then. Like nothing's changed. I'm still the same now.
Yeah. I feel like the sacrifices can help push us forward as well. Like say when training's not going well or we're not giving it everything or we're just feeling generally tired. I've found I can look back and go like, you know, I've given up, you know, hanging out with really close friends of mine. I've given up seeing them, seeing family. And it's like, what's the whole point of sacrificing all this if I'm just going to be lazy right here in this session?
Yeah,
exactly. That can help push me forward as well. And it's like, all right, well, here are all the sacrifices I made. It's almost disrespectful for me to, you know, not use this opportunity to give it everything I've got. And it works both in the day-to-day, like, you know, like we can plan a whole training week to just get it done and I can look at it like that. Or even in the work, like I find it helps at the worst sessions, like when we're feeling the most tired during a peaking prep. Someone that hasn't given those sacrifices, it's easier for them to just give up because they're tired. They haven't put things on the line and there's nothing at stake other than like what's ahead. Versus us, we actually put everything into this prep, and there's a whole different meaning to that, to what that means, right?
Yeah, and then we also got like, you know, if people haven't made those sacrifices before, it also means that they've easily turned down sessions before. So they get into the gym, you know, they're like, this is fucking feeling hard or this hurts or something. So they easily just like rack the weights away and go home or something. When it's like, you know, for us, it's like now we're at a point where it's like, or even before, like I said, like I've always kind of been like this, but for you guys now, you're at a point where it's like, you just won't do that. You'd be like, no, I'm doing this. I'm going to get this done. And then I'll worry about whatever I'm worrying about either tomorrow, or I'm literally just going to fucking forget it when I go to bed tonight.
The first thing I always think about, like if I'm having like a session where I'm feeling a bit tired, it's the end of the session, you know, where I've got 3 sets of rows to do. It's pretty easy to, you know, skip a few reps. Like I always just tell myself, well, the fucking people I'm going to be competing against next year in Malta aren't fucking skipping reps and exercises. You know, that's one thing I always kind of say to myself straight away. And then that's just like this quick switch that makes me do those last few exercises or sets.
Yeah, I know. It's like looking at you know, there's always someone fucking doing work out there that you don't know about.
Yeah.
I like to
Always.
tell myself I haven't even reached the starting line yet. So
Yeah.
I'm fighting tooth and nail just to get to the starting line.
The starting line's fucking worlds.
Exactly. And then once we get to worlds, that's another starting line. We never reach a finish line, right? There's nothing to celebrate at the end. We just keep pushing.
That's it. I think that's why we're also into this sport, because it's that constant battle for always trying to be better. And like, yeah, you never feel like you are at the start or at the finish. You're just constantly trying to improve. And that's obviously a big reason why we're all in this.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, I always talk or go back on like it was never really accepted, but it's so accepted in so many other sports. About how you got the goats out there in all different respective sports, and they were always, they're dialed in. They made the sacrifices. They did fucking everything. They never missed any sessions. They'd rock up early. They'd stay later. They'd do more than everyone else. In powerlifting, that can be detrimental in terms of doing more if we're doing too much. So we've got to be smarter in terms of that. But in terms of like not missing sessions and doing as much as we can do, then it's finally becoming more accepted, because powerlifting is growing. Like, it's getting fucking big on social media. It's getting known as kind of a sport, although it is small. It is starting to get known. It's like these other sports too, like footy in Australia, and everything, every single sport. Like the UFC started as fucking nothing, really.
Yeah.
It was tiny. And now it's like the biggest sport in the world. So if like powerlifting ends up taking that route too, like we can kind of be, I guess, in Australia, the pioneers for the ones that push this next generation through to actually being what we're capable of as athletes and actually being a formidable force, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And so,
I mean,
I guess
you're 23 still, and I always fucking forget that. So you kind of are the next generation in terms of like when it comes to me.
Yeah, haven't even reached the starting line yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one thing you touched on is, how all the greats in the sport have a similar mindset. And
Yeah.
I guess what we've touched on is like, being obsessive, having the willingness to make sacrifices. What else do you feel like are similar personality traits that all the greats have?
They believe in themselves, man. They honestly believe that they're fucking great. I think that's a huge thing. That confidence that they have. You look, who we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the first ones that come up the head, like Kobe, MJ, fucking Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and we'll go like Conor McGregor as well. Every single one of them, like you can look at old school interviews with them, and they've all said like from the start, I was going to be the fucking best. They've all fucking said it, no matter what, no matter where they were, they've all said, I'm going to be the fucking best at this. Like there's an interview with Tiger Woods when he was like 6 years old, man. And he's like, I'm going to be the best golf player that's ever touched a fucking club. And like at 6 years old, like where does that even come from? Like it's literally, it's just born and like they start with it. It's a mentality that someone's born with. Like, and you look at like Conor McGregor might like walked around like the cockiest person on the planet, but he had reason to, man. He was the best fighter as well. And he was fucking, he was confident as shit. It wasn't like, there's a fine line between cocky and confident. And he very much threaded that line, but he was very confident. And he did whatever he said he was going to do for a time anyway.
Yeah. I think having integrity and keeping your word is a huge key. Like you saying you're the best and putting it out there. The only way to get through that then is like, getting your skills to match that and not shying away from it.
And putting in the work to get there too, not just talking it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that classic, like, yeah, like whether believe you can or can't, like what you believe is true. And like, you think deep down that you're not strong, you're not good. And that shit's going to bleed into your training on a deep, like subconscious level where you're not going to put in that hard effort. So it just comes down to, first of all, believing you're fucking strong, and then you're going to fucking train hard like you are.
Yeah, man.
I think in the simplest form.
100%. And then, I guess, that like part where I went on with, these guys had like, they've said it from the start that they were going to be great. Like you know, it takes a lot of fucking guts to do that, to come out to like the world or to, you know, whoever's on your platform or wherever you're speaking and literally just say like, you know, I'm going to be the fucking best. Like, I'm going to beat you. I don't give a fuck. Like, it takes a lot of balls to do that because, you know, you're putting yourself out there to also lose then. And that's going to be demoralizing as shit.
Well, so I would do that when like you shared that reel to me where you said,
Yeah,
no one can beat me when I'm at 100% healthy or whatever.
No one's going to beat me. Like, you know, and I kind of do that without even realizing I do that sometimes. And then I realized after, I was like, oh shit, you know, I've done it now. Like, I think someone said like, who's going to win overall in like a Q&A at Nats. And I was like, me. And then I was like, first to fifth, I don't care. And then I kind of thought about it a couple hours later. I was like, fuck, I've just called out the whole country. Yeah, I just called out everyone.
Yeah. I think for myself, that's where the next level is going to be for me as well. Because I like being self-aware, I've noticed that I came into this sport very modest. Like, even though I keep my goals close to myself, I don't put as much out there.
Yeah.
If I do want to get to the next level, I need to change that. And just being comfortable knowing that, you know, I am comfortable going for number one in whatever way that might show up on a given day, rather than shying away and being like, you know, oh, like there's other strong people out there and I'm just going to do my best. It's like, no, like I do have what it takes to be number one, and, you know, just watch.
If you ain't first, you last.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I've changed a lot too. I remember like one year for like PA Junior Nats when I was a 105er, the nominations or the competitor list came out like 6 to 8 weeks in advance. And I remember like just doing some scouting and found this guy I'd never seen before, strong as fuck. And I instantly in that moment was like, oh, well, that's my year gone. Like, I'm not going to fucking win this year. And I just kind of like accepted that. Whereas now, like, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's like setting different goals for yourself too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we don't know who's competing at Nats at 74s at the moment because a lot of people are saying, you know, I'm not going to show up. And then there's like finding those little personal things to be able to take on board to push yourself. Well, for me, myself to the next level is big as well. And then there's like, you know, the personal, like, oh, okay, fuck it. If I like my highest competition isn't competing against me, I'm going for overall. And I'm gonna win that by a large fucking margin too. Like, I'm not gonna make it easy and just be like, I'm just gonna win. I'm gonna win it significantly.
Yep. I love taking things personal.
I like taking things like when I'm huge on that. Like, I'll find anything. I'll go looking for something, man. I'll message someone and be like, and ask them a question just so I can trigger a response in myself to just be like, let's fucking go. We're on now.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think on big days, like on, say, for example, Saturday SBD days, I guess it's an unconscious thing, but like I just walk around finding little things that are going to inconvenience me just so I can be like, oh yeah, you think you're going to fucking stop me? Let's fucking go. like someone might take a rack. I'm like, oh, I don't need that fucking rack. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to fucking demolish it anyways. You know what I mean? Like, just, and like looking back, they're really irrational, but it's like enough to put me in that mindset where I'm willing to just push back. I love being in a space where it's like the world's against you. It's like, all right, now's your chance to prove them wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Like that, like it seems irrational, but if it's like, this is what I mean. If it works for you, then it's fucking great. Like that's where it's like, what works for you is probably different to me. Like, I'll just fucking find something to piss me off, and then I'll be like, well, yeah, okay, sweet, I'm good to go now. Whereas like you, like, will, like, you know, it'll be different little things that you find, and it seems irrational, but it's like, it's not. And it's, you know, it's becoming accepted of that. That's how you click. That's your mentality. That's what you need to go. Then that you just got to keep like doing that and using that. That's your fuel every single session, to be like, okay, someone's taken this rack, you know what? They can squat fucking 150 kilos out of that rack that I wanted to squat a PR out of. I go into the power rack and fucking walk out a 1RM and slap it. Yeah, on bumpers. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but it's like, it would have been completely different had you just gone straight to that rack or something like that. Or I would have found something completely different anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have little things that you find?
No, in terms of like a training switch, I find like now I put some music on and I'm ready to go. Like I just have a switch when I train now. But in terms of like deeper mindset, I'm just kind of constantly reminding myself, like, show them that you're now the big 120 in the country.
The cool thing for you, like, you might not have thought about it, but like, in terms of like where you are, you have the ability to like, you can literally put the highest total that's ever done in Australia.
And that's one thing that I'm, in terms of like setting little goals and targets, that's something where I'm definitely kind of shifting towards now.
Yeah, because like there's no real competition in the 120s.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do what someone else has never fucking done. Like that's where I'm at too. I'm just gonna do what no one else is fucking doing.
Like having the biggest jug tested deadlift in Australia.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I can fucking do that. You know? But yeah, just like reminding myself, like showing people that I'm now the bigger 120 around, because obviously for so long it was Cam ruling the scenes for years and years and years. So like just when I'm training, I'm like, you know, show why you're the next big 120. But yeah, no, I just have a switch, man. I put the tunes on, I'm fucking ready to go these days.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just you versus you.
Yeah, you versus you. That's how it kind of gets to, man. We're not in a sport where we're like, you know, like directly against someone, like in terms of like our skill set isn't going to like beat them. We just have to be better than them in every single training session without even knowing what they're doing sometimes, which means just bringing your best like capable body forward every single session. And then that's how you'll beat them. Then you'll be able to beat them on the platform, because we can't literally go and like, you know, beat them like in terms of like head to head in a sporting capacity where it's like my team versus your team, or it's like 1v1, because, you know, we're lifting the same fucking thing. We're doing the same discipline. But it's like, if I can like treat every single fucking session like it's my last session all the time and just keep going, I'm gonna eventually just outwork this person to a point where they won't even be close to me. They won't even be a part of the conversation that I'm in. Like they won't even be like in my head. I'm not even thinking about them, but you know, I will make it like kind of happen. That's for me anyway.
Yeah, you don't lift for the outcome. You just lift to push yourself to be the best every single session and see where it ends up.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
How do you feel then? How would I word this? If you lift to be the best version of yourself, how do you deal with winning and losing yourself as an athlete? Do you expect to win, and how do you feel if you don't win?
I've only lost twice. Okay. And the first time that I ever lost was what happened? That was my first ever nationals. And I found something to take personal after that. And that was good. Like I was like fuck these guys after that, because there was like I came fourth. And I was like the new guy there. I was the only one that had never done nationals. And I was right up in the battle on subtotals, and we get to deadlifts. You know, we had the big deadlifters in Australia back then. And, you know, I kind of fell behind and I came fourth. But then after it, like the top three guys were like, oh, let's get a photo of the top three. And I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking weird. Because I remember the year before was when the 74s in PA got a whole group photo of like all 8 of them, like because it was a stacked class. All 8 got a photo. And then the next year I went and they just did the top 3. They were like asking for photos. I was like, you know what? Like they're never going to fucking be close to me again. Like, cool, get your photo. But next time we meet on the platform, it's fucking over. And that happened. 6 months later, that happened. I worked my ass off for the next 6 months. I put 54 kilos on my total, and that was it.
You got to let the losses push you.
Hey?
Got to let the losses push you.
Yeah, losses push me. The other one was nationals again. I lost by 500 grams, but I didn't take it as hard because it was me coming back from a broken arm. And I as soon as I left the platform, I had a lot going on too that day. But as soon as I left the platform, I was like, you know what? Like, I just come second in a nationals the year after I broke my arm. You know, like I completely snapped my humerus in fucking half. I've just lost by half a fucking kilo on total. And like, for me, it was like that's not going to be an issue in the future. If I've been able to do this and work my way back after such a significant injury, there's going to be no problems after that. So I was like, you know, again, I just thought that's it. Like it's over now. Like if I can do that, you're done the next time.
How about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think it just comes down, like you said, like let your losses push you. So like it just comes down to that constant mindset of like being better than the previous version of yourself. So like for me, like some third deadlift demons, like I fucking missed the 346 at the nationals last year, dropped fucking 340 at states this year, and I was like, I do not want this to happen again. So that's why I came out and pulled 350 in training, because like I'm not gonna fucking worry about the 340 mark anymore. I'm just going straight to 350, you know, like
Hold the fucking thing
and hold the thing at the top. So yeah, just like reminding myself that I don't want to feel that way again, and then using that to fuel training sessions and just be better. Put the work in to be better so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, 100%. I
No,
think,
you've only lost once, haven't you, Danny?
yeah, like I've only had the chance to have a head-to-head once with other 66ers in this what, pretty much last year or so. I didn't come up with the best conditions, but I still had the chance to win, and being close enough made me feel, you know, just pissy about the fact that I lost. And I think that's just always been with me. Like I always hated losing, and this comes with my upbringing as well. Like back when I used to play sports as a younger kid, not being able to make teams, just losing games, I would always feel the loss really badly and want to go back out there and try and practice and not ever feel that way again. And now when it comes to powerlifting, it's like, all right, what do I need to do to make sure this never happens again? Right. And so I think, like, if we're getting really specific, I think things for me is like, all right, well, I'm never dropping a deadlift again. I don't want that to happen. What do I need to do to address that? Right. And like making sure I rock up to every session and addressing all those little things to make sure it never happens again. Like you said with powerlifting, like we can't just drill hours and hours and hours of practice in. We have to be smart with it. But I think had it been another sport, like I would be that kind of person that would just stay at a practice facility or whatever. And just,
bro. Stand at the hoop for fucking hours.
Yeah, man. I used to shoot hoops like fucking after school all the way till it was dark. Right. And now it's like lifting. All right, you can't do that and just lift for like 5 hours straight with intent. But we still apply that same mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hate losing so much.
I remember the conversation originally with you was like, after you did lose, you were like, oh, you know, like I said to you, like, bro, you were never supposed to be in that position. Like everything that kind of happened never put you in that position. And you were like, yeah. You agreed with me. You know, we had like a good chat about it. Like in the moment, in the heat of the moment, you were like, yeah. And then I remember like a day or two later, you're like, nah, fuck this. Like I lost and I need to be fucking better. And I was like, where the fuck did this come from?
I'm mad right now. I'm like, oh fuck, right. Big session today. Big session.
Do you remember that though? Like in the moment you were like, because we were like, you know, you weren't supposed to be in that position. You were never supposed to be that close. Like, and we were going in like that, like knowing that we were going to do everything in our power to put you in a position to be as close as possible. But the fact that, you know, we were smart enough and we played smart to put you in the position. I said from the start, like, we're smart. We know how to play this game. We'll put you in a position to kind of get you there, and then we'll see what happens. And it played out exactly like we said it was going to play out. And then after you were like, man, like the game plan was good. Like I was never meant to be in that position. And then you were like,
but I fucking lost.
At least, you know, you didn't say that straight away. You were like kind of happy. And then like two days later, so it's like 48 hours. You're like, no, I fucking lost. Like, let's get fucking back to work right now. Are you like, I need this feels like shit, actually. I need to fucking do this.
Yeah, man. Like, fuck, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's not fun losing. Not fun
Just thinking about
losing.
training now.
Yeah.
Just thinking about going out and training.
Yeah, like it needs to happen. It needs to happen in 8 weeks, right? The
Yeah.
next time I get to, oh yeah, it came back to me. So we had the perfect game plan, 8 for 8, right? And all I had to do was just hit one fucking deadlift. So now moving forward, it's like, all right, what am I doing to be comfortable in that situation now? Because I think knowing that we weren't meant to be in that position like that would have made me feel uncomfortable that by the time we just put a number to pull for the win, it's like, oh shit, I might be able to win this rather than expecting to win. So going into this competition now, I'm training myself mentally like, all right, by the time I get to a third deadlift, I have to be comfortable. It's kind of like when you catch an airplane and the air hostess is like to the people in the emergency seats, like, are you willing and able to, help people out in the event of emergency? And they just go, yeah, okay. I've been visualizing like what for the past week or so, like every single deadlift that I've pulled, it's like, all right, are you willing and able, if this is the third deadlift, are you willing and able to just pull for the win? And I'm just getting myself more comfortable with the fact like, all right, I could be in the second position or third position and I can pull myself for the win, and being comfortable knowing that I can put myself in a position and actually execute. For me, that's going to be the next level, like dealing with pressure situations, right? So in basketball, that might be something like a game winner, but if you can't make that last shot, you lose, right?
Exactly.
And we need, well, myself, since you guys are pushing your own records, for myself, I need to be comfortable knowing how close the totals are and working underneath that pressure. And I don't think I was ready, given the situation, the last competition I had. But now that I recognize that, it's like, all right, I need to address this.
Yeah, for sure.
That's sick that you can address that, because then obviously now, like, obviously visualization is so important. So like you said, you're visualizing that moment when you're training. So you're getting like all these opportunities throughout the week when you're deadlifting to visualize yourself with that pressure. So when it comes to that moment in 8 weeks, when you're pulling for that third deadlift, it's just like you would have been doing in your fucking garage or wherever you're training, So you're going to be so much more capable because you've just spent the last 8 weeks practicing that moment, not just in terms of load, but like you said, mindset as well. So that's awesome that you can obviously acknowledge that, man, because that's going to pay off in your favor fucking big time.
Come to expect to win. Need to expect to win.
I think we'll call it there, though. It was a productive chat.
Productive.
I'm fucking G'd up. I'm ready to go. But yeah. Well, thanks for coming on.
No,
We'll get you on
no worries.
We'll get you on the future ones. I guess we'll run with both of you for a bit or something.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, guys.